Hello and welcome to MFM. This video will be a walkthrough of linking up MIXROOM, the plugin, to a MIDI controller and some things you might want to consider in the way you assign that. I'm using the Remote SL. It's the most knobs, dials and faders and buttons for the money and cheap. I got this for about £60. To cover most EQ plugins, you're going to need 7 filters, high pass right up to low pass, 5 filters between. I've got the Q and the frequency on the left, then the boosts for low to high frequency are on the faders on the right hand side. Before I used the SL, I used 2 smaller MIDI controllers using the same CC numbers. Directly from the controller I can toggle up and down tracks in Reaper and open the effects chain window, and then go up and down the effects in that effects chain, all from the controller. This template covers all of my EQ plugins. I like working like this because the template stays the same. It doesn't matter how the plugin's laid out, the high pass etc. are always in the same place on the controller. The compression template I use covers all the compressors as well, so a couple of templates, a lot of plugins. Before we do this, open the action list and look for MIDI learn for last touch parameter. If we use a hotkey for this, it'll save a lot of time. I recommend using Option as a modifier key. I have problems with other keys. One great thing about using a controller is whatever the theme and wherever the buttons are and whatever the effects are and however that's laid out, doesn't make any difference. You're learning the layout on the controller, the template of the controller. However you open your plugins, open MIXROOM. I wouldn't use the VST3 on a Mac. I had problems with that for whatever reason. There are hidden menus in the plugin, and you can assign hotkeys to those whether you can actually see the menu or not. So let's choose minimum and mix so I'm not processor heavy. 5 filters. So no high pass and low pass. To move the filters around, just grab them by the central horizontal bar. I just set these out evenly spaced. So when you've got them how you want them, let's have a quick look at how many parameters there are. So we could have 10 filters there. We're just going to stick with 5. So I've already assigned that. Grab the horizontal bar, move that, Alt-E, move the controller that you want to move. I edited that out, there was 1. We'll do it again for 2. And all of these controls, when they pop up with the Alt-E, they want to be enabled only when effect configuration is focused. It's very easy on this plugin to catch the wrong filter. So on the left hand side of the controller you can see low pass on the LED and high pass right down at the bottom. And I've got my frequency, then my Q, that's the frequency row. So I'll get low frequency, move this up and down, Alt-E, move the controller, press return. I don't like using third-party software for this kind of programming, just in case I change my MIDI controller altogether if something else comes out. So it's good to program it directly into Reaper. It also means I can access pre-programmed MIDI control plugins. I do this from contextual toolbars, which is something else I'll be doing videos on. Now to set the cues, and we'll start on the low filter and work up. Do this by grabbing the horizontal plane right at the edge and make sure that Q is displayed in the display. The gain scale in this plugin I assign to a parameter called mix, as it's called on the template and the controller through all of the plugins on that fader. Useful to be able to back that in and out. And then the output gain, CC33, I always have at the end of the controller, whatever the plugin, and the bypass also, which is a toggle in the bottom right hand corner. I'm going to assign the on-off buttons directly under the corresponding frequency. I also put a row of solos under the boost faders, so you can solo directly with your thumb while moving the fader and unsolo that way. So that's those done. Do the same with your solos, just where I've positioned them. The buttons for the mid and side have been changed to step values rather than toggles. So they'll go through 3 positions, and it's easier to find this in the menu than it is to try and move the mid and side with the mouse. I'm just going to light another candle. If you are feeling stressed doing this, I suggest you waft some sage around the room. So once all that's done, you can make really nice patterns like this. And you can do a Liberace sweep. When did you last see a Liberace sweep? So you can see by the way it's laid out, the solo button's directly under the boost. Over on the left, under the filters, is the on-off. And before we save this 3 ways, I'm just going to check that the mix is controlling the gain scale. I've programmed the output. I've assigned CC83, the button there, to linear and minimum phase, CC84 to mix master mode. The first of the 3 saves is going to save the actual controller information. So go to parameter, default controller mappings, and save as default. That's saving the MIDI info. Now click on the plus and save the preset as a default. That means every time you open the plugin, this is the way it'll look when it opens. And go to effects chains from the effects chain window. Save selected effects. That opens hopefully into there. That's where you should be. I created this folder with these folders within for different types of effects. This is an EQ. And if you followed the last video, don't overwrite bass room with MIXROOM.